Today's video is on completing the square, but we are going to have an a value that's not equal to 1. And there's basically two differences, two little things to add on to our steps when completing the square with an a value not equal to 1. Let's look at our first example. We have 2x squared minus 8x minus 18 equals 0. So what we're going to do first is move the c value to the other side of the equation. Here's the c value right here. So we're going to do plus 18 on both sides. Doing that makes 2x squared plus 8x equals positive 18. Here in what I underlined is a new step. What we're going to do is factor out the a term from the left. Here's the a term here. Factoring out of 2 leaves us with x squared plus 4x on the left, and on the right is still 18. Next step is to do the completing the square part. We are going to take half of the b value and then square it. Here's the b value. Half of 4 is 2. Squaring it makes 4. So it's going to look like this. 2 parenthesis x squared plus 4x. And then we said half of 4 was 2. Squaring it makes 4 equals 18. And what we did before is that we would add that same number to the other side, but what I underlined here is the second new step about this completing the square part. We're going to add not 4, but we're going to add what that times the GCF was, since we're kind of distributing that 2 here. So it's not going to be plus 4 to the right, it's going to be plus 2 times 4, which is 8. And again, these two steps are the two new steps for completing the square with an a value that's not 1. Now, it's simply continuing to write this in a perfect trinomial. Keep the 2 in front. This piece right here is the perfect trinomial. That could be written as x plus 2 quantity squared, which is just like saying x plus 2 times x plus 2. The right side simplifies to be 26. Now before we take the square root of each side, we need to get rid of that coefficient of a 2. The way we're going to do this is divide both sides by 2. Oops, lost that right there. We're going to divide both sides by 2. So we're left with x plus 2 squared equals 13. Now we can take the square root of both sides. And we're left with x plus 2, because that cancels out the squared, equals the square plus minus, excuse me, don't forget the plus minus square root of 13. The square root of 13 cannot be simplified to anything further, so we're just going to leave this as the square root of 13. The last step here is to add or subtract at the end, so we're going to do a minus 2 to both sides, since we do the opposite. And our final answer is x equals negative 2 plus minus the square root of 13. If you did that in your calculator, you would get some crazy irrational decimal. So if you're talking about the two solutions that we have, you can write this as x equals negative 2 plus minus square root of 13. Or this means that x equals negative 2 plus the square root of 13. X equals negative 2 also minus the square root of 13. Review these steps on your own. Think about what we did. Think about moving the c value over. Then we factored out the a value here. We did completing the square in the middle, but when we added a number to the right, we got that number by doing 2 times 4. Then after writing it as a perfect square in the middle here, we would have to divide first. Then we took the square root. Then we did addition subtraction at the end. And don't forget the plus minus in front of the square root radical sign. Write down what questions you have. We're going to do lots of practice in class, and have a great night.